So we keep hearing Republicans scream about election integrity and fraud every time you and I get easier ways to vote. But notice something. When voting is convenient for them, like mail-in ballots, they use it over and over. When it's convenient for you, the veteran who lost a leg, the single mom working 2 jobs, the student with no car, suddenly it's a problem. So ask yourself, if voting is the foundation of democracy, why are they constantly trying to make it harder? It's because the entire strategy is built on an old idea. Republicans win when turnout is low. And my home state of Louisiana proves it. We elected a Democrat twice, John Bel Edwards, when more people showed up to the polls, and a Republican, Jeff Landry, when turnout tanked. Let me show you how that same logic is driving GOP attacks on voting nationally. This is Pragmotiv News, and it's your boy Tre. So the Supreme Court recently sided with the state of Mississippi in allowing them to keep their mail-in ballots, which it goes without saying this is a good thing, but why was this even in front of the Supreme Court in the first place? So take a look at this clip from CNN.
Because there was another big ruling today where justices rejected a Republican challenge to a Mississippi law that allows the counting of some mail-in ballots days after Election Day. So it's certainly a blow to President Trump and his efforts, Paula, to reduce mail-in voting ahead of the midterm elections.
That's exactly right. And Pamela, I really do think this is one of the biggest cases of the term. And it's notable that it came out against the Trump administration because they've been arguing that if the law says that the election has to be held the Tuesday after the first Monday in November, ballots cannot be counted if they come in after that. And this was sort of a test case. If they were able to succeed here and limit those ballots from being counted, it was expected that they could potentially go on to challenge other forms of voting, not exactly on Election Day, in-person voting, those kinds of things. So it's notable here that they lost, and the state of Mississippi, which does allow the counting of mail-in ballots if they arrive after Election Day, as long as they are postmarked by Election Day, that state won, because this is something that is also done in roughly a dozen other states. So this is a really significant case because we were watching this closely to see if the Trump administration prevailed in this case, where else could they try to go to limit those voting opportunities? So this is a significant loss for the Trump Justice Department.
And rightfully so. Mail-in voting is important. Imagine if you're a veteran and you have no way to get to the polls. I talked about this a few months ago. Imagine if you are in a state that allows mail-in voting and you're a single mother and it's easier for you to cast your ballot by mail rather than go and stand in a line. Or if you're in a state like Louisiana where we have like 7 days of early voting, I always choose to early vote because to me, it's better not to leave it up to chance. I'd rather have 7 days where I could have this window to be like, oh, well, I planned to go Monday, but something came up on Monday. So now I'm going to try Tuesday. Oh, wait, something came up on Tuesday, so I could go on Wednesday. Rather than making everyone come on one day, so many things could go wrong. Like those bomb threats that happened on Election Day in Atlanta for the general election in 2024. Things like that happen, and bad actors do things like that because they know how much they can disenfranchise people. I mean, how many people were turned away? How many people didn't come back after that because they were afraid? These are the things you have to think about. But like I said at the top, the Republicans count on people not turning out to vote because that is when they win. They have their little pocket of voters who come out and support them. But when there is a candidate on the ballot like Barack Obama who can garner a lot of support, get people hopeful, drive them to the polls, have a great get out the vote effort, then that overwhelms the Republicans' core voters of elderly white men. And at that point, there's nothing that they can do about it. The numbers just aren't in their favor. And there's one elderly white man who constantly complains that voting by mail is fraudulent. It's not accurate. But he constantly votes by mail himself. Who's that man I'm talking about? Donald Trump. Donald Trump himself. Now, Donald Trump is constantly going to Florida to golf. I mean, any given day, he's most likely not at the White House. He's most likely at Mar-a-Lago golfing. But yet when it comes to voting, he can't find time to go to Florida to vote. He need to vote by mail. So he wants to vote by mail, but he don't want you to be able to vote by mail. He wants a veteran who may have lost his leg in combat to figure out how to get to the polls. When they gave up a piece of themselves for that very right, so that we could have it. And he's supposed to be the commander-in-chief. Now, if I was in the military, that wouldn't sit right with me. Because it don't sit right with me being the grandson of two veterans. They keep trying to attack your right to vote because when you don't show up, they win. When you show up, they lose. Take a look at this video.
Election day is come and gone, and Jeff Landry will be Louisiana's next governor. He won the primary outright, taking more than 51% of the vote. Well, that one comes with less than 36% of voters casting their ballots. Alyssa Curtis looks at why so many people didn't show up and what's next for each party.
So I have one question. Do you love Louisiana?
Jeff Landry will be Louisiana's next governor. He won the October 14th primary election without forcing a runoff, a result that many didn't expect.
Most people figured it would be a runoff.
Saturday, the Republicans had resounding victories across the board, an outcome the state Republican Party is happy about.
I think the sky's the limit because he now has a legislature to work with. He can implement all types of legislation in place with his allies in the legislature.
While former executive director of the Louisiana Democratic Party, Renee Laparollery, says it's not the outcome they wanted, but there's still hope for Louisiana Democrats.
8 years ago, we weren't supposed to have a Democratic governor, and John Bel Edwards connected with voters. It is possible. We have Georgia as an example. Stacey Abrams, after disappointment in 2018, Stacey Abrams and other grassroots organizations registered 800,000 voters.
Some believe the results may have been impacted by low voter turnout. Statewide, only 35% of voters turned out to cast their ballot for governor. In Orleans, voter turnout was 27%. Jefferson Parish saw a 32% turnout.
People are concerned about health insurance, homeowners insurance, car insurance, flood insurance, and nothing seems to be being done about it, and I think people are upset about that.
UNO political science professor Ed Shervanack says both parties need to connect better with voters to get people to the polls.
They've got to address those kitchen table issues, those pocketbook issues that people are concerned about, and that if the people see that they're relating to their problems and they're coming up with solutions to those problems, that will connect them back to the political system.
Party reps say that needs to happen every election, not just the presidentials. Alyssa Curtis, Eyewitness News.
So there's a lot to unpack there, first of all. I mean, 35% of nothing should determine what happens to 100% of people. But that's what happened in Louisiana. But the citizens of Louisiana have nobody to blame but themselves. Because you have to get out and vote. It does not take that long. Like I just mentioned earlier, we have 7-day early voting. Now, can Louisiana be better and provide more access to the polls? Yes, we could. We could have mail-in balloting like states like California. We could do better in that respect. But right now, you still have 7 early voting days. You still have election day. There's still mail-in voting for people 65 and up. So there's no reason why we should have had that low voter turnout, especially after 2 election cycles where places like New Orleans and Baton Rouge showed up to elect John Bel Edwards. So like I've said the whole video, the proof is in the numbers. When the blue cities of New Orleans and Shreveport and Baton Rouge showed up, John Bel Edwards became governor against all odds in deep red Louisiana. And then he was reelected against Trump-backed Eddie Risponi. But the minute everyone disengaged from the elections, they decided not to participate in anything, which we saw carried over from 2023 into 2024, you get Jeff Landry. And now everyone's complaining about how everything is going. And now there's a recall for Jeff Landry, rightfully so. But we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't have to be recalling the governor if people had showed up to vote. So we really have to ask ourselves, what are we doing? How can we do better? How can we educate our friends and our family to do better? How do we make voting fun again? Or at least make people know that it's something they have to hold their nose and do if they don't want to do it. But to me, if you ask me, it ain't that bad. My process is when election time come around, about a week before, I look at the ballot, especially them damn constitutional amendments. And I Google it, and it takes me maybe an hour. And I research all of the things that they're asking. And I go into the polls educated, just like I would if I was going into the classroom. And I make sure that I'm doing the right thing and making an informed decision. And that's how I approach everything. Anything in my life, really. And that's what we have to do to have a healthy democracy. Because who you elect matters. It's not just about whether they have an R or a D next to their name. It's about, are they going to, run the state right? Are they going to run the country right? Are they going to give you the money to fix that road that keeps messing up your suspension on your car? Are they going to hire the right people to conduct road work correctly? Or are they going to have fly-by-night people who have rocks flying everywhere and breaking your windshield every other day? These are the things you have to ask yourself. So, sound off in the comments like y'all normally do. And I'll catch y'all in the next one. Peace.